This episode hurts. So, we bought a house. Actually, we bought it a few years ago now, and since then, we've just been treating it as an investment property, renting it out while we were living in Sydney. But we decided to do the place up and move in, and of course, I wanted to document the process. So in this pretty unique series for my channel, I'm unpacking each step of the renovation process and talking about how we saved a heck of a lot of cash along the way, as well as some of the mistakes that we made that hopefully you can avoid in your own renovations. Today's episode is all about the issues I faced after moving into my new YouTube studio and how I went from being someone who loved the sound of rain to being someone who feared the slightest raindrop. Okay, now I know it's been quite some time since the last episode of this series, and this episode is going to be a little different. It's going to be a little shorter, but it's all part of the studio renovation story. Now, I alluded to some issues that I had with rain at the end of last episode, but let me quickly paint the scene. So in the middle of December last year, we officially moved into the new house and I moved into this YouTube studio. Then a week or so later, it started raining and I noticed that the back of the carpet in my studio was wet.
Quite a small patch. It's dry, and then a bit wet, quite damp, and then dry again, and it's dry here as well. So it's just right there in that little arch there.
Okay, so a little bit damp, but nothing too big. I did a little patchwork over some of the bricks outside on the back of the studio wall. Then I put some fans on the wet spots overnight and it was dry the next day. So then fast forward about 2 weeks and now it really started raining, like a lot. I go to check my studio floor to see if the patchwork I'd done had helped, and check this out.
Yeah, you can see my footsteps, and particularly down here, like that is proper drenched. You can see that water is coming up as I push that down. And then down here, not as wet, but definitely wet again. Similar spot. And yeah, pretty wet, man. This is how much water I've gotten so far. And it's still wet.
So now it was a bit more of a serious issue. Now I did try some other cheap solutions like putting tarps over the roofing to act as a temporary gutter to try and isolate the issue, as well as slapping on as many coats of this bitumen paint as I could to try and stop the water seeping through the porous bricks. And I even installed an ag line along the back wall, but ultimately nothing really worked. So after about a month of trying all of these dodgy and on the cheap solutions, I thought, screw it. It's time to bring in the big guns, a roofer. And so with another deluge of rain coming on the radar soon, I hired Matt, a professional roofer, to come and install a proper gutter along the back of the studio.
All right, little update. Downpipe is going in the next hour or so, but you can see already that water is flowing nicely down into there and the back wall is bone dry. So hopefully we're in good shape.
It was only a day job for him, but a fair bit out of the pocket for me. But once all was said and done, we awaited the next downpour of rain. And boy, did it come with full force. And the carpet was dry. And oh man, it was such a relief the first and second and third times that I went into my studio during the next few downpours to check if the carpet was dry. And with each check, it was. And so thank goodness the problem was solved. So that's the story of when my studio sort of flooded, and let me tell you, it was frustrating as all get out, and at the end of the day, I just wish I went straight to the professional instead of trying out all of these on the cheap solutions. Now, as I film this episode, I'm currently working on a few updates to the inside of this studio space, but the next renovation episode you will see will be the full studio tour. I've still also got to show you what we've done to the front of the house, as well as the back, which in particular is now looking super schmick. So if you're not already, hit that subscribe button and that little notification bell so that you don't miss out when I release future episodes of this series. I'll also leave a link to the full Renovating Our House series playlist up in the cards and down in the description below. But aside from that, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll catch you later.